Well, hey everybody, welcome to Eating Peace this week. It's Grace and I'm back in my kitchen. I had the funniest experience. I gotta tell you about it, a little story, because it has something to do with our sense of oopsie, made a mistake, and then regrouping, which is something that's wonderful to be aware of, and actually I'd even question, oopsie, I made a mistake. So, as you know, I'm sure, I'm doing all these webinars with a slide deck that I have worked on carefully and a really robust, solid, filled. I almost have to keep myself back from saying too much more on 5 shifts or 5 spells to break to end eating battles, like these realms to work with. And I talk about them, and it's been really meaningful and important to me to look at them all. Safety and the need for safety, the need to let go of an incredible drive to perfect the body constantly and all that judgment of the body, not believing your thoughts, being able to inquire, looking at our judgments that we have about food that make us feel unsafe or boundaried around not lack of freedom with eating, overeating, undereating, all of it. And then connecting with other people. So really those are the 5 spells in a nutshell, and kind of the way we see the world, the way the whole thing seems to unfold around us when we've got those in place and we're believing them all at the same time. Oh, disordered eating. I'm not safe, it's bad, I gotta fix it, something's wrong, turns into disordered eating. Interesting to notice that that same kind of thinking can be happening with all kinds of stuff. So mistakes appear. We think of them as mistakes, and it's like the energy, really it's the energy of how you are working with something, not what the actual thing is that is the so-called mistake. So working on this webinar, just a little overview of it for you. And I set it up for the first time. Haven't done a whole lot of Zoom webinars, some, but I selected one ticked box that made it so there's a waiting room. Meaning, I didn't know this, everybody goes into a waiting room and they can't get into the webinar. So I'm just doing the entire thing to dead air, apparently. People waiting to get into the webinar who can't get in. And there was 80 people trying to attend. So luckily the whole thing is recorded. I saw like little orange light flashing and I couldn't quite see the numbers in it, but they were changing, and I think that was people trying to get in. I don't know. But the idea being, okay, that happened. What to do about it? Can't go back. Can't undo it. Certainly not the end of the world. I mean, this is just a creative enterprise, trying to share something and answer questions about the Eating Peace experience at the very end for those who are joining in a few weeks. Okay, there are 5 more webinars still, options, schedulings to do. I will change that piece so that people can actually join live and we can have much more Q&A. I was also wondering, why is nobody writing in the chat? And I'm saying, hey, can you all see me? Nobody would answer in the chat. You would think that I would get a clue and maybe go back and kind of check something, but it was really funny. It was just underway. I already pushed record, and I just assumed it was working and that maybe something was tricky going on, but maybe people didn't have access to the chat. So, the mind will run on, maybe this is happening, maybe that's happening. Have you ever been lost from somebody in a huge museum, or you're out traveling with them in a strange city? Wow, maybe they stayed at that tea shop where we were having tea. Maybe they tried to go to the bathroom. I wonder if they're back at the hotel room. And your mind will start to flash on what could be happening. Often, the best way to approach something like that is to relax. It's to relax. It's really the turnaround to this isn't safe. It is safe. And the best way to begin to work with that is to notice what is safe in this moment. Whether it's food, my body looking a certain way, the presence of a so-called mistake. How is it actually interesting or a good thing that this is happening? I might not even know the answer to that yet until some time passes. But in my creative mind, how fun to think of it that way instead of, oh no, this was really bad. Somebody wrote me an email and said that she got off work early just to attend this webinar. And I thought, oh, wow, that's awesome that she made that effort. And I just knew to send out the recording then right away. Go ahead and have everybody watch this first version. One thing in the back of my mind was, now I'm offering this same program, basically, a repeat of the same class. It's like teaching the class again, facilitating the same thing 5 more times. Maybe people will just only watch the recording and they won't even be there live. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. It may be wonderful for people to be there live. They might like it better if they're live. I just don't have that answer, right? So I can't assume that that's true. Same as with any eating experience that feels really uncomfortable. I mean, we've noticed this thing seems to be happening. We've attacked ourselves. We've criticized and judged. If judgment and attack worked, if going to war at our experience worked, that would have ended it by now. War doesn't seem to work. Totally being without any structure at all whatsoever and just being completely wild and chaotic and grabbing and binge eating, franticness, that doesn't seem to work. I'd say that's wild chaos. It's not really liberation or freedom, is it? Because you feel very, very compelled when you're in that kind of eating mode, whether it's graze eating or intense panic eating. It's the energy. How are you working with food and eating? How are you being with reality? What's my conversation with reality? What's going on? How is that working? How would I describe it? Is it possible to shift it? Can I turn that around? Can I ponder that? Can I just even open up my mind to considering this is okay? There might have been a benefit. It's not so unsafe. Something's interesting about that. So I have an experience with eating. I don't like it. Instead of condemning myself or saying it's a hopeless situation, never mind, I can't ever get this straight, despair and collapse, can I just pick myself up and start over again? Long, long ago, a wonderful friend of mine who was I met her in 12-step meetings. She said, Grace, I was feeling so awful and so despairing because I had had a binge the day before, just sick to my stomach, lethargic, horrible, suicidal practically, just despairing and depressed. But enough to share. Not so ashamed that I kept it a complete secret. Of course, that's one wonderful thing about 12-step meetings is honest, sharing, sort of shame-busting to do that. To have somebody to share with is amazing. To have a place to connect where you aren't thrown out because of what you've shared. So she said to me, wait 24 hours. Just wait 24 hours. The body begins to heal itself. It begins to move all the food through. You begin to relax. You get more hydrated. You've drunk water. You've rested. It's true. It only takes 24 hours to stand up again. And let's try again. Let's come back. We're still alive. Still here. Ready to learn. And can there be a softness that we have rather than what we've tried so far, all the strategies we've had to work with? What would it feel like to just be peaceful, generous with ourselves, compassionate, loving? If you need to hold still and just put your own hand on your heart and take a deep breath. I like saying 3 deep breaths is like the first course to any meal. Taking in a deep breath. Can we do that? We can do that. It sounds so small, but it's a different attitude than the horribilizing and awful and so condemning that we get with moving off balance with eating. We just begin again, peaceful. It's kind. It's kind to the self. And it's not like we're not dismissing and saying, pretending like nothing ever happened and that was completely fine. No. We're aware. There's something to learn here, to be more in touch with my feelings and my emotions and how I'm being in the world, and my urge to escape through food or grab through food, or panic with food. And the more I am in touch with my feelings on a kind of more close level, like, yes, I'm afraid and it's okay that I am. Yes, I'm angry and it's okay that I am. Yes, I'm discouraged and it's actually okay that I am. That will move, instead of even condemning my own feelings that I have about who I am, how I'm showing up. So just noticing, safety, being safe in the presence of your own mind that's talking. And it's so mean sometimes. It's like, sometimes I know it feels like being in our own mind, like as Annie Lamott said, I'm in a bad neighborhood, I wouldn't want to go in there alone. That's your own mind. It's like being in the presence of kind of an abusive person, only just remember it's just a voice, and it's trying to get you to pay attention. And anyone who's super abusive, do they look like a happy person? No. Scared, upset, confused, for sure, believing their own thoughts. That's just the voice of something that's believing it's threatened. It's believing it isn't safe. So we wind up having an energy of lack of safety. So, deep breaths, holding still. Every new moment, starting the new moment here now, no matter what's been eaten or not eaten, whatever our bodies have looked like or don't look like, whatever's happening right now, just to be still and present, feel the presence of the moment, and relax. Just relax. It might take us much, much farther than we ever imagined. The mind will say, like, that's not enough. But oh, yes, it might be far more than you ever imagined. The support of relaxing and just being still, 10 seconds, 3 breaths, seeing what happens next. So noticing examples of safety in any moment, whether food's in it or not in it. Safety of any moment. So no mistakes. We'll see what happens with the next 5 webinars. It's kind of funny that I'm doing it 5 more times. Maybe that's overabundance. Who knows? But I sure did enjoy myself and thinking that I was speaking with other people. And then we'll get to see how the next webinars go. So I hope you'll join me, even if you can't or don't or aren't a webinar person, as one of my very best friends just told me today. I'm not a webinar person. No worries, You can even just take this. You're here now listening to this. So practicing safety in all our affairs, practicing safety, just noticing the reality of how I'm safe now, no matter what I've been through. I made it. All right. Lots of love.